You're listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
I wanna see the light.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Give God 90 Radio on Demand. My name is Jerry Mitchell, your host for Give God 90. It is an honor to have you join me for just a little while today as we look into something I hope you find to be a blessing to you. We're going to look at Psalm 71 today, not in as much detail as I'd really like, but we're going to find some detail in Psalm 71 that you may not have recognized before. Before I get to that, I want to say a special thank you to everybody who's been listening to us for almost 3 years now. It is an honor to have you continue to be faithful and listen. And to the new people, we welcome you. You are part of a worldwide, and when I mean worldwide, because I have messages from Australia and Hawaii, Uganda, Ukraine, I believe it was Brazil and South America. I know we have American listeners who are from Peru. I know there's just a whole lot of people that are all around the world appreciative of what we do, because here, my agenda, and I tell you right up front, is to convince you to live the way your Creator designed you to live. And we hope to help you do that and hope you be blessed by that by explaining to you some of the basic foundational principles that you may have had questions about in the past. Maybe you're one of these folks who have been sitting in a church for years and you think, well, how come what I'm hearing isn't what I'm reading in my Bible? Maybe you're new to all this and you're looking for people to give you some guidance. Hopefully I can do that, really, because I don't say anything, and I don't say this lightly, I don't say anything that I can't point to in Scripture and say, this is exactly how it was said and how it was written in the original language, in the original context and content of what was being written. We don't change that here, okay? We're not afraid of the hard questions because we go back to the source. If that means going to the Hebrew and digging through Hebrew language and culture and history, that's what we do. If it means digging through Latin and Greek and all of those things all the way back to understanding the foundational principles, that's what we do. I'm getting ready to put together a teaching. I've begun working on it, and it's going to be, I think, quite fascinating. Because remember, Peter said that Paul was hard to understand? Well, I'm going to do a teaching, and I'm not sure what I'm going to name it yet, but I'm going to prove to you Paul is not that hard to understand. You simply have to understand where he's getting what he's saying from. And there's some language goofiness going on in there too, and there's a whole lot of traditions that we have to deal with that. But hopefully as you will listen to that, maybe, if you're interested in it in the future when it comes out, I'm going to present it at Messianic Delaware first, and then it will make it available here as best I can. So hopefully you'll be able to do that and be blessed by that as well. All right, so let's start on Psalm 71. And it really, I'm really amazed at the way David starts out here. Okay, I don't know why I should be amazed at this. Nobody should be amazed at this. But he really starts out. And I'm getting this from the Tree of Life version. All right. And it says, "In you, Jehovah, I have taken refuge." Why is this such an important statement for David? If you remember back, I believe it was in 1 Samuel, there was a period of time where David was no longer in the land of Israel. He was outside of the land of Israel, and he realized he was not being protected by God the way he expected to be protected by God. He'd always been in Israel. He'd always had that protection. He'd always been that close. Now he's outside. He realized that there is a different principality, a different entity, however you want to say this, that is not really, I hate to use the word in control. That doesn't sound good. But as God himself defends and protects the land of Israel, the nation of Israel, landmass-wise, there are other beings, other supreme beings. If you remember in Babylon, when Gabriel went to give Daniel a message, and he says, look, I'd have been here sooner, but I was withstood by the Prince of Persia. Well, the Prince of Persia was not the human Prince of Persia that a lot of people think about. How can a human prince withstand an angel, a messenger from God, for 3 weeks? He said, I finally had to call Michael. Michael came down, and he took over the battle for me so I could come here and talk to you, Daniel. That's the principality. That's the prince that we're looking at that was in control over the foreign land that David was in. And he says, look, I was away from you. When I wasn't under your protection, I didn't feel you. I couldn't understand you. I was trying, but it wasn't there. That connection just wasn't there. So he starts out in verse 1, in you I have taken refuge. He says, look, I don't ever want to be away from you again. And then the next phrase, let me never be ashamed. Oh my, how many times have we as believers, whether we've been going to church for 50 years or whether we're just starting out, you tell, maybe you're just starting out, you tell a group of friends, well, I went to church the other day, and they start making fun of you. Oh, you're going to be religious now. Oh, yeah, we got to watch what we say now around you. Does that give you this feeling that they're talking down to you? Does this give you a feeling of persecution? Does it give you a feeling that maybe you started doing something that they're not going to understand and maybe you just don't want to talk to them about it? It's possible. It's possible. David says, in you I have taken refuge. I am not going to be ashamed of this. It is you who gives me my strength. It is you who does all of these things for me. Watch as he lays this out. He says, deliver me and rescue me in your justice. He doesn't say, rescue me from something. But he says, look, take me into your justice. Hear me, turn your ear to me, and save me. Listen to me and make sure I'm doing what I need to do. The next statement, verse 3, be to me a sheltering rock, that I can always go there. Give the command to save me. Oh my. Oh my. If I had an hour to spend right here, I could do it. And y'all know, if you've been a regular listener, you know I can spend an hour on one phrase, because we can go back to the original language. You would be amazed at how much information there is right there. You are my rock and my fortress. We see this imagery over and over and over again, and it's not some ancient imagery that is poetic. This is real. This is absolutely real. These folks that this was written to understood exactly what he meant. Today, when we talk about a rock, we really don't grasp this in our modern terminology. We kind of know what a fortress is, right? We know what a bunker is. We know what a castle is. But really, when you're looking at the Hebrew culture, especially around David's time, you are my rock. We can go straight back to the rock that Moses struck and water poured out of. If you've ever seen pictures of this thing, it's massive. It is huge. It's not just some little dining room table-sized boulder. This thing is over 60 feet tall. It is absolutely massive. Okay, that's what we're looking at here. And David says, you are this massive thing that is my fortress. It's where I go for refuge. Could you imagine having something that solid, that stable, and knowing, not just desiring, not wishing, not even our new American definition of hope, but using the real first early English definition of hope, where what you expect will happen. That was hope as defined in 1828 Noah Webster's dictionary. You can take it to the bank that what he said he will do. David says, you are exactly what I need, because there is nothing greater, there is nothing any more certain, there's nothing any more solid that I can put my faith in than you. Oh, heavens to me, if we could have something that solid and that stable in today's language where we could establish it that way. We really don't have any expressions in English that give justice to how definite and solid of a statement David's making right here. Did you realize that? Our English language today doesn't give us the words to express what David expressed here. We don't have anything that solid, anything that large, anything that important in our language to express what he's saying here. Isn't that amazing that a language this old has more meaning than our language today? Isn't that amazing? Rescue me out of the hand of the wicked, out of the grasp of evil, ruthless man. Oh, yes, we cry out for that all the time, don't we? We cry out for that, but do we mean it? Really? You're my hope. Again, hope today has a different meaning. Hope for us, I hope I get a phone call. I hope I get a job. I hope. No, what you're actually saying is, I wish on my fairy godmother this would happen. You don't have that faith that David has when he says hope here. Okay, the word hope, and I think I've gone over this before a few times. The word hope is tied, quite literally, to the word for cord or thread. It's not a heavy rope like you would tie an ancient ship down with, but that red cord that Rahab hung out of the window. She had the hope. She was so certain that what she had been promised was going to take place, that she was willing to hang that red cord out of that window and show everybody. That's how certain she was. Because if it hadn't have happened, how was she going to explain that red cord hanging out of her window? How was she going to explain that? Hope is much different today than the way it was expressed back then. Hope is the thing that tied our belief to the events that actually would happen. Let me say that again. Hope is the thing, that's why it is part of a cord. Hope is the thing that ties our beliefs, our trust, and our faith into exactly what will happen. And the only person that can do that is the Almighty Himself. From my birth I have leaned on you. David knew and understood. Jesse taught him well, even though Jesse appears to be ashamed of him. Right? You took me out of my mother's womb. My praise is always about you. It's not about anything else. It's not about me. It's not about other people. My praise, you alone receive. You alone receive. Again, he goes back and he keeps talking about my mouth is filled with your praise in verse 8. I talk about your glory all day long. Don't cast me away in the time of old age. David's not writing this when he's elderly, like I believe it was Psalm 31. He's now speaking as a younger person. And he says, I want to stay with you till I'm old. Don't let me do something. I'm going to put this in plain, simple English, okay? David, if I was saying this today, it would be, Lord, don't let me do something stupid. Don't let me do something dumb that's going to separate you from me. Make sure I'm there when I'm old. You know, I do this all the time. I will admit, I do dumb stuff sometimes. But the one thing I don't want to do is something so ridiculously rebellious to the Almighty that he's going to say, you know what, there's just no hope for you. Just get away from me right now. Just leave. I don't want that. What I'd rather have is don't let me do something dumb. You know, there may be things that I do that I don't think I should, but you're asking me to, and I don't want to go talk to those people. You know, they look mean over there. I don't want to go. I don't know. Should I go talk to those folks? Maybe. I don't know. David's saying, no. Don't cast me away. He says, look, when my strength fails, don't forsake me because my strength comes from you. My enemies speak against me. I can attest to this. Those who watch for my soul conspire together, saying that God has forsaken him. People watch us all the time. As believers, and it doesn't matter whether you're Jewish, doesn't matter whether you're Christian, doesn't matter whether you're Messianic or Hebrew roots, all of this is true. People watch us. They watch us for hypocrisy. They watch us, God didn't take care of him. He got cancer. Yep. Didn't matter how his faith was. He's diabetic. Oh, he's got a heart condition. Oh, look at him now. Yep, God didn't save him. He's dead. You've heard it. I've heard it. What they don't understand, what they do not understand, is nobody leaves this world alive. Whether it's a debilitating disease, whether it's a car accident, whether it's an act of violence, an act of war, whatever it is, how we deal with death speaks volumes to how we live. I'm going to do an entire series on this, and I hope to interview someone about this. I have a particular funeral director in mind that I would like to spend some time with, because I think in the United States we're looking at the way we treat death much differently than we did many, many years ago, and I want to do an entire series on that, but that's at a later date. Okay? It's just something we need to have this discussion about. David, this whole psalm is all about God's great, I'm nothing, I can't do anything without him. And I really like it. He's old enough when he's writing this. In verse 20, you made me see many troubles and evil, but you will revive me again. All of the things I have seen, all of the things I've been witness to, can anyone today relate to this? Have we seen troubles? Have we seen things that we look at and say, oh, that's just, wish that hadn't happened. Wish that hadn't happened. But today is nothing different than when David wrote this about 3,500 years ago. We see trouble, we see evil, we see the things. But it's our faith, our trust, our hope in our Creator that revives us. It's His strength that fills us up again. Some people like to call that grace. But it is Him residing in us, through us, with us, where it says, it is your strength. Without your strength, I do nothing. Right? When we praise the Almighty, He fills us with, whether you call it grace, whether you call it strength, it doesn't matter what you call it, it revives us. Let me say that again. When we praise and worship the Almighty, He will revive us. That's why it's so important to meet with other believers. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there, especially today, who cannot. I was speaking with a friend of ours, a regular listener to Give God 90, who was telling me about a friend of theirs, and in the area they live, they're afraid to even go outside because they don't want to be reported for doing something they shouldn't be doing. It's very difficult in that situation to gather with other believers to have that revision of strength. You don't forsake the gathering of believers, even if all you get is, a couple of messages from even me a week. Hopefully you're getting more than that. Hopefully you're getting more than that. Use the resources that you have. Use, whether it's your texting or your email, whatever it might be. A phone call is even better. But gather in some way with other believers so that you can praise the Almighty together. You can sing His glory together and be revived, because David was absolutely right here. You let me witness problems. You let me see evil. But when I praise you, you revive me. It says, from the depths of the earth you will bring me up again. You will increase my greatness. Want to improve your life? Right? That's how Give God 90 really started out. Remember my for the new folks, my conversation with a rabbi years ago, when I said if people would just live the way their Creator designed them to live for 90 days, they would see how much their life improved, and they would want to continue. David says it right here. You will increase my greatness and comfort me once again. If you need help, go to GiveGod90.com. It's all laid out there in 3 sections for 30 days each. Very easy to follow, very easy to go. You can do this. Many, many, many people have. And I get messages and emails saying thank you. Okay? It's there for you. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. Somebody else already has. Use what's there. Use what's there. Verse 22, I will praise you with the harp for your truth, O my God. Oh my. I will praise. He's going to sing to the Lord. He's going to play for the Almighty because of His truth. I will sing your praises with the lyre, O Holy One of Israel. My lips will shout for joy. How often do we need to hear that? My lips will shout for joy. I will sing praises to you. My tongue will tell of your righteousness all day. For those who seek my hurt have been put to shame and confusion. He is saying that the people who try to harm him, they're going to be the ones who will be destroyed later on down the road. Ladies and gentlemen, it's no secret. It's no secret. We look around the world today and we see people who do not follow the Creator's instructions, who do not live the way that the Almighty designed them to live, and we witness how they degrade as they age. This isn't a process of aging. This is a process of sin. This is a process of not living the way you're designed to live. The people who live the way they're designed to live, guess what? The majority of them stay healthy. They remain. Now that's not to say that they're never going to get a cold. They're never going to get sick. They're not going to get some disease. Okay, because sometimes the Almighty uses those things to have us reach other people where we normally wouldn't go, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter to us, I should say. It shouldn't matter to us what we face, what problems we face, just like David said, what evil we might face. It shouldn't matter to us what that is, because we don't rely on our own strength. We sing praise to the Almighty to revive us. We sing praise and talk of God's glory, not for our own benefit, even though it revives us, but we do those things because it strengthens humanity. When other people watch you, and trust me, other people are watching you. And I mean they are watching you like a hawk. When that happens, what do we see? What do we see? We see all kinds of fun things. What we see when that happens is people watch us and they say, I don't believe they faced this. I've heard this over and over and over. I am so glad that happened to you. I would have never been able to survive that. I am so sorry you had to go through it, but I would never have been able to survive it. I've heard it. I've been in hospital rooms where family had been talking, and it's that you could tell the one family member was an atheist or had a different religion. But the people who put their trust, their faith, and their hope in their Creator had a completely different outlook than those who didn't. We've talked about this often, and it's true. We can witness it over and over and over. We look at our communities. The worst communities we see are the farthest away from their Almighty Creator. It's sad, but it's true. It's sad, but it's true. Psalm 71 is David's ultimate request, if I can use that word, that people would join him in worshiping the Creator of the universe. That's what he's saying, and he's giving you reason after reason after reason to do it from his own personal experience, from his own life. He's saying, here is why we praise and why we worship our Creator, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We look at his example, and we should be able to look around. And I know I can look around in my community, in my family, and I see things. Since we have chosen to live the best we know how, and I'm not saying we're perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Don't take that. No. We're doing the best we can with the information we have. We look at the Bible and we do what it tells us to do, and we don't try not to do what it tells us not to do. And as we are nearing biblical middle age, let's call it that, our health is not degrading like it was of just 10 or 15 years ago when we weren't doing that. Before we were smart enough to figure out that, God made us. Maybe his instructions will help us. When we figured that out, it was an easy transition to say, well, you know what? God says do this. Maybe we ought to do that. He says don't do that. We probably shouldn't do that. People look at our lives. We have family members who say, oh, you're trying to earn your salvation. That's not it at all. You can't earn that. Salvation comes from the Almighty. But what we are trying to do is be obedient to the one that gives that to us. What we're trying to do is make sure that we're living the way he designed us to live. Doing the things he would have us do, not doing the things that he finds objectionable. There's a lot of things I could go out there and say, boy, that looks like fun to me. But he says no. He says no. He says, no, you shouldn't take that. It doesn't belong to you. No, you shouldn't have sex with that woman. She's not your wife. Right? Y'all know where I'm going with that, and I'm being blunt about it because it's very serious stuff. Here's the thing. You're willing, many of you, to say, yeah, the Ten Commandments are still important. But there's a lot of verses that surround those Ten Commandments that are equally as important. Live the way you're designed to live. Praise the one who deserves your praise. And guess what? No matter what you see, no matter what you witness, every time you sing praises to your Creator, you will be revived. You will receive that salvation, and you will eventually dwell in the house of the Almighty forever and ever. How's that for a promise? Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this has been a blessing to you. I trust you will have a blessed week. Amen.